Are you ready to elevate your fantasy team? Here is Joey the Tooth with your IDP update. If it's not IDP, it's not fantasy football.
Welcome back to another episode of IDP Update. I am your host, Joey the Tooth. You can find me on Twitter at Joey the Tooth IDP. I have with me my good friend Mike Woellert. We're going to be talking some rookie safeties. Mike, how you doing, bud?
What is going on, Joey? Thanks for having me. Good to be here. Talk some IDP tonight.
Yes, sir. Sir, we had a couple of issues a couple nights in a row. We had some technical issues, and then I had a sick baby, but we're getting the show going for sure. It's gonna go.
Yeah, we're gonna go through whether warts and all.
That's right. So, how's everything been? What have you been up to these days? What do you got going on?
Not too much. Just I can't believe we're not too far out from April. So,
I know.
Just been jotting down some notes. Did my linebacker and defensive line rookies and finishing up safety analysis, which kind of finishing that up. So I'll be doing that on my pod here shortly. And I don't know, just getting ready for the football season. It's crazy to think about. We got the draft coming up in what a little over a month, end of April.
Yeah, barely over a month. It's amazing.
So I know, feels like the Super Bowl was a few weeks ago.
I know. I didn't really, and I'm ashamed to say I didn't even watch the Super Bowl. I listened to it, but I didn't watch any bit of it. It was a slightly discouraging year as a 49ers fan. Not completely.
Yeah.
Not because I think they were terrible, but because there were so many injuries, it just hurt.
Yeah, Bosa going down at the beginning was like a tone setter that just sunk right off the bat.
Everybody was like, "Oh well, that's not good." Then D4 never coming back.
Yep. And then Garoppolo got hurt.
Garoppolo,
yeah. I was rooting for Tampa because, Kansas City beat my team. So once you beat my team in the playoffs, I hate you and I don't want you to win.
And you know what? Cleveland put up a good fight. They played well.
I don't know if it's because Mahomes got hurt and he got I don't know if it's just because of that, but I just don't get how you allow Chad Henne to run a 14-year-old play. that stunk. That just hurt. Absolutely hurt.
I think it was kind of one of those like nobody expected him to.
Yeah.
Just like, wait, what? What's Henne doing?
Yeah, and that side of the field it was just totally open. I don't know who could have. I don't know if anybody could have made that play.
I know.
A play on him. The field was so wide open.
It was tough. It was tough, but it was good to see. It's good to see Cleveland playing well again.
Hey, we had our Super Bowl the previous week. We beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh handedly.
Yeah.
So that was my Super Bowl. So I was good. I was at peace with whatever was the outcome of the Chiefs game.
The first half of that game, that Pittsburgh-Cleveland game, was just
first quarter. First quarter. It was 28-0 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, that was tough for Pitt. Pitt fans were completely deflated after that. I had a couple of guys at work, and this is what I hated about Pitt fans. I have a couple of them, and all of them are the same way. As soon as they lost one game, like, oh, our season's over. I'm like, you guys are, 14-1?
Yeah.
12-1? What is it? 12-1. You went 12 straight, and you lose a game, and all of a sudden our season's over. I was like, all right, get out of here. Go away. But we're here to talk some rookies. So
yes.
we're gonna dive into an ad real quick, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna jump right into this.
MyFantasyFootballShirt.com is your place to get top quality fantasy football gear. Get yourself some merch from some of your favorite podcasts. Need some custom shirts for your league? Contact us today. Just go to MyFantasyFootballShirt.com.
My Fantasy Football Shirt. That's from our very own Nate Cheat. Created a fantasy football shirt, and actually, this my old Joey the Tooth logo hoodie.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Before we get into the safety talk or the IDP talk, how did you get the tooth? Where did that nickname come from?
Everybody always wants to know, and it's not even a really funny story, but it's just humorous. So I have a good friend of mine. You might be in a couple leagues with him. Snacks IDP. You know him, no? He floats
I know
around
he is.
Twitter.
Yeah.
So I've literally known him my entire life. Like, he was my neighbor, and him and my older brother, were born 19 days apart.
Yeah.
So I literally have been friends with him my entire life. And we were probably like 17 years old, and he looked at me one day. We were partying, and he looked at me, and he's like, "You have tiny, tiny teeth." He's like, they're like dolphin teeth, man. So he gave me the nickname Joey the Tooth, and it's stuck with me ever since.
So it was a drunken observation.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you know what? The name stuck with me ever since, and I just kept it. So, yeah, that's the story.
There you go. I was expecting like something like, like some sort of like wrestling Mick Foley, your tooth went up your nose or something crazy.
It was a fun drunken evening.
It's usually how they go, most of the time.
Yeah, and that will not be the last time I tell that story. It's every time I tell it, I'm like, oh man, everybody's expecting something great. It's not.
Well, it's usually the not so subtle nicknames. They're usually the best, but
Right. All right. So I want to start with Trayvon Morig from Washington. Or I'm sorry, from TCU.
Yeah.
Dude, he is fantastic. I'm a big fan. So he teamed up with Ardarius Washington, and Ardarius Washington was fantastic, and he even swept Washington under the rug with some of his play. His coverage skills are fantastic. He's very fluid in his movement. He can flip his hips no problem. He can man cover. He can zone cover. He's a ball hawk. He has fantastic ball skills. He does a great job of reading the quarterback with his eyes, and he can fill the gaps in run support quite well. And he has the speed to do it. My biggest issue, though, with his filling and run support is he's a little over-aggressive. So he takes poor tackling angles because he just shoots a gap. So he tries a lot of arm tackles. He doesn't wrap up a lot. So I'd love to see him just shore up his tackling a little bit. But other than that, his aggression will only get his goat a couple times biting on a double move. But other than that, I think Morig is almost the complete package when it comes to the safeties.
Yeah, and another drawback, I don't think he's going to be asked to rush the passer, so I don't think he's going to be used on blitz as much. But I think with him, though, I think he's definitely like scheme agnostic, and I think he can play anywhere. So, he won. If I'm not mistaken, I thought he won the Jim Thorpe winner as the best defensive back in 2020. Yeah. So, he's definitely a complete safety, but yeah, he does have can have a case of those alligator arms. But yeah, he's not going to get those sacks, but I think as long as he shores up his tackles, I don't think missed tackles are going to be a problem for him.
No, I think where he would fit best would be somewhere like a cover two where they just run side by side safety, left safety, right safety, as opposed to deep safety or strong safety.
Yeah.
If he can fit into a scheme like that, I think it'd be perfect for him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he, if I remember, I know pretty solid. I think he forced some incompletions, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he played definitely that combination box deep and up on the corner. But I definitely think you're going to definitely see him up close a little bit more, hopefully.
Yeah, he's kind of a safety that can take away a tight end if has to. I mean, he doesn't have like the big athletic profile, but his coverage skills are just phenomenal.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so I think personally he's going to be a second round pick. Personally, I think he's the best safety off the board, but I don't think anybody's going to jump on safeties in this draft, to be honest. I don't think anybody has a glaring need to draft a safety in the first.
No, I think I've seen him projected to go in the first, but I think you're right. I think he'll probably be. I think this is going to be maybe a corner edge draft again, and some linebackers and there's a few linebackers that'll be sprinkled in. But yeah, I think you're going to see your top guys go in the second, but you certainly have some crazy. Anything can happen in the draft. I mean, obviously we don't have any access to the to teams' big boards and see where they value. But yeah,
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if second round was kind of the first where you see kind of those first safeties go down.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Paris Ford from Pittsburgh. This is a guy I was always really high on when I was watching his tape. I know we both agreed he's got some technique issues in his tackling. He had way too many missed tackles. But I love his aggression. I love his ability to play both safety positions. His closing. All right, so this is kind of what blew my mind, right? So I saw his pro day numbers recently, and his fastest 40 time was a 4.83, which blew my mind because I thought one of his biggest things was his closing speed. Like there was plays and he comes out of nowhere and he's making the play behind the line of scrimmage, and I thought his speed was one of his high points, but he ran a 4.83. I mean, granted, it's a pro day, but
I think your pro day you should hopefully run quick, but
right.
It's probably, I don't know, maybe it's more of his strides or maybe his angles, because I think if you take a good angle, I think that can maybe cover up any type of maybe slowness, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you take a good angle and then you make a good break, you're gonna get to where you need to go pretty quick.
Yeah. So I guess that makes me like his actual skill level even more if he's actually that slow and he's making a break like that in the ball.
Yeah.
So I don't know, he forces turnovers. He's good in coverage.
Mm-hmm.
I love him in run defense. He hits like a linebacker at only 190 pounds. So I personally am a big fan of Paris Ford. I would love to see him land on my 49ers.
Oh, of course. Well, yeah. I mean, is there anybody you wouldn't want on your team? Of course.
This is true. This is true.
He is. Is it me or is he a little slight?
Yeah.
A little slight, but I don't know. I think he's going to, again, he needs to play close. I didn't see a lot of, I guess he wasn't smooth.
Yeah. And
when playing a little deep, but yeah, I think he's definitely going to be a better, what we want for IDP, we want the guys that are kind of going to be around the line of scrimmage. Obviously depending on your scoring system, but yeah, I think, but yeah, if he takes a bad angle, he's toast.
Yeah, and he takes terrible angles to the sideline. I saw that, especially in coverage. Anything towards the sideline in coverage, he's terrible. But downhill is where he makes his money. Like he's a firecracker coming downhill.
He seems like one of those see ball, get ball.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how that's kind of how I saw him.
Yep. Let's see, I know you wanted to talk about Trayvon Holland a little. Or Javon Holland, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Holland. Yeah, boy. He opted out of 2020, but I went back and looked at 2019, and I think there still is definitely a lot to like, and I think he is a ball hawk. Mm-hmm. He knows, from what I could tell, I mean, if the ball's in the air, he knows when to look for it and avoid the pass interference, which is going to be huge. So he's not going to hurt his team with bad interference calls. Really good tracking, definitely keeps his eye on the ball, and definitely forces the quarterback to kind of throw in his range. So he's going to either intercept the ball or make a play on the ball. Yeah. Really good processing. I think no matter what defensive alignment or any alignment, I mean, he is quick and a really good tackler. Sticks his head. There was a few plays I noticed. He really just gets it in the sternum. So I don't think he's going to, again, be a bad tackler where he's going to lead with the crown, or he's not going to cause those problems. He's not going to be, an issue's not going to be a tackling. He's not going to lead with that crown. He's going to get right into the sternum. So, and he's another one of those multifaceted safeties, can play wherever. But I think for him, again, like a lot of these guys, I think the landing spot's going to be a key.
Yep. Yeah, I like what you said with his football IQ. Like you can watch games where he approaches the line of scrimmage and he's calling out a play, and then he drops back again. It's like that's a baller right there. That's a guy who knows his game.
Yeah, definitely.
His coverage skills phenomenal. I agree there, and he knows exactly when to turn his head around if he's tracking. He's perfect in getting his head around and getting his hands up at the right time. He's got really good agility. He's just fluid in all his movements. The biggest thing I saw that would be a negative for him would be maybe his angles downhill. Like he approaches the line of scrimmage almost too quickly, and he can get beat if the guy breaks outside and he's beat. But that was really the only thing I saw that he had a tough time with. I saw him get beat in a double move a couple of times, but I mean, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. I think and there were a few plays that I saw. I think he might take a few risks. So I think I noticed him. He kind of had a tendency to kind of fall for some moves. So I think that's just stuff that will come with watching tape and playing and just getting coached up. He's like, hey, when X quarterback drops back, and if you kind of see him do that, then just stay still and just be ready for a ball to get in your way. I think that type of stuff can be coached up, and that'll be tape. And if he's interested or really wants to improve his craft, he'll improve that, and he'll watch and he'll study the quarterbacks.
And obviously he understands the game, so I think he's going to be a guy who's easily coached. So he can be somebody who clears up his deficiencies within a year or two, and he can be a very good safety.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't mind these players. I certainly didn't mind these players opting out, but I don't think Holland really had much to prove. But it still would have been nice to kind of see him play a little bit into 2020. But I don't really think he had too much to prove heading into 2020. I kind of foresee him to be kind of in the second, third round, but I could see him being, depending on the landing spot, I could see him being an immediate starter and playing the majority of the downs.
Oh, of course, definitely. Yeah, and that's the one thing that I gave Paris Ford a little bit of credit for, is he decided to play a little bit this year. And he made 2 big interceptions, I think, in 5 games. And then he was like, okay, I showed you I did it last year. Did it this year. I'm going to take it easy now. It's not a fluke.
That Pittsburgh defense, I think, is going to have quite a few guys. That was a really good defense. I think they're going to have quite a few guys that are going to be pretty relevant.
I checked out the pro day of that Pitt just because I wanted to see what was going on with Paris Ford, and was Jalen Twyman, the D lineman.
Okay.
At 303 pounds, he had a 32.5-inch vertical.
Oh God, that is scary. Oh my God.
That's athleticism, my friend. That's unbelievable.
That's not fair for someone that size to be able to jump almost 3 feet.
That's what I'm saying. It's unreal. I was like, all right, so I'm going to have to start watching. I'm going to have to go back and watch him a little bit more. I did briefly, but
I didn't really, I'll be honest. In terms of like the IDPs, I didn't really watch a whole lot of the defensive tackles, and I didn't really watch many of the corners. I don't know. I just call it that bias, I guess. It's like, I'll just kind of maybe look at a few, and you draft kind of who you draft. But yeah, I didn't really take a look at many of the interior guys.
Same. I look at corners a little bit because I tend to always deep dive for my DB positions.
Oh yeah, I mean you do the corner, you do the huge cornerback streaming articles. So yeah, those corners are your thing for sure.
Yeah. All right. So who else do we have from Virginia Tech? Divine
Diablo. Yeah, definitely. He's intriguing to me, and what's really nice about him, where I think he can really have a good impact in really everything, is that he converted a wide receiver to safety, so he has some of that speed. He kind of has an idea of routes and how wide receivers are going to kind of approach the game. So that's really intriguing. And again, he has really good eyes, quick breaks. He made some really solid plays and can stop just quarterbacks right in their tracks. If he turns around and sees a quarterback running, he's going to stop him.
Yeah, he's a hitter, man.
Yeah, big hitter. Active hands. I think if he doesn't give up a play, so if he's going to run down a running back or a pass catcher, I think he's going to go after the ball. So kind of that peanut punch. But if you're not protecting the ball, he's going to get it out. He's going to get it out of your arms. Yeah. Really good job reading quarterback's eyes. And again, he kind of processes those quick plays. But I I'm hoping again he's a box safety. He's going to play around them. I think we're talking a lot about these guys that can play around the line of scrimmage. So I think he has the size to be one of those big nickel dime backers, and again he can make big plays.
Yeah, I think that would be the perfect role for him, as like a nickel backer or a dime backer, like you were saying. Like that's perfect. I picture him as almost like just a thin linebacker person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Put him at like a will, and let him just go out in coverage or let him blitz every now and then. But I love his zone defense.
Mm-hmm.
His understanding of zone coverage is phenomenal.
Yep.
Man, he was a little spotty, but I mean, I don't expect every safety to be fantastic in man coverage or to be a cornerback.
Yep. But unlike like maybe a corner, I think his speed is a little limited. I know he had his recovery was about average, I think. So
yeah, he's a little tight in the hips, so
yep.
his flip's a little slower. But still, I mean, like you said, if you're coming downhill,
Yep.
you don't need to flip.
Yeah. I've seen some, but he processes, processes really well. He's versatile, but he's probably, I think he's going to go a little bit later, but I think what someone is getting, I think someone is still getting a pretty solid football player. So he could be a line of scrimmage guy. He could be a linebacker. So, but definitely stood out. Big dude.
I mean, then his last year, he really upped his playmaking too. Like he made some big plays this past year. He was a little void of him his first few seasons, but he really showed, and he became like a leader of that defense this year.
Yeah, I think he's one of those. He's definitely one of those guys that if you miss out on some of those top safeties, you should be able to get him, I think, pretty cheaply in a rookie draft. So like if you miss out on a Paris Ford or if you miss out on Morrig or those guys, I would not at all be upset if I landed somebody, like Diablo in maybe those later rounds of a rookie draft. No problem with that.
Grabbing like a 6th or 7th. There's not many people talking about it. I don't know if it's a Virginia Tech thing or what, but I mean, if you just go back to the tape, just watch some of the tape, it's like, all right, and it's there. It's there. And like most of this draft, it's like if he lands in a good spot. And this draft is so landing spot dependent that some guys, like you wouldn't expect if they land in a great spot, could have a huge impact.
Yep. Yeah. But he definitely was one of a guy that stood out, and I watched a little bit closer. I'm like, I like this kid. I'm really hoping he makes it. He makes it, and I'm really hoping, if not this year, maybe next year, depending on where he lands. I really hope he gets that opportunity because I do think he can play.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. But now I want to get to who actually became my favorite of the group. And you mentioned you wanted to watch him. And I was like, all right, we can do this. But Hamsah Nasirildean?
Hamsah Nasirildean. Yep.
Ooh, that's tough. But he is fantastic, my friend. So I actually I had John Glosser on here a couple weeks ago, and he's a Miami Hurricanes fan, and he said, I can't be fans of Florida State players until it's draft time. He's like, I had the same thing for Derwin James, and I love Derwin James, and same thing with Hamsah. He's like, he is Derwin James again, and he's a Florida State player, and now it's draft time, the season's over. I just want to tell you, I love this guy. You should watch him. And then you brought him up too, and I was like, all right, I should watch this guy. I really should. They're both telling me I need to watch him, so I need to do it. Oh man, he really jumped up my safety rankings to probably 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think he made me put like a tier because I was like, all right, because I think I was going to have like Holland and Morrig probably 1 or 2, and then I saw Hamsah. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to make a tier 1, and it's him, Holland, and Morrig, I think, that are kind of in that first tier, and a beast. I mean, what is he, 6'3", 6'4"? And you just look at him, it's like, all right, he's, I think, the definition of a dime linebacker and a box safety. I don't think he played deep very much, but he can play the slot. I don't think he's going to make very many plays, but he's going to tackle and he's not going to miss.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he's super physical. He's got great downhill trigger.
Mm-hmm.
He takes fantastic tackling angles. He can play man if you ask him to. Don't ask him to do it much, but he can do it. He can cover the tight end. He's got the physicality. He's not going to get bullied by him at all.
Yeah.
The
physicality and the length. I mean,
Right.
if someone tries to block, I mean, he's going to keep people away from him. He's not going to get eaten up or chewed up by too many blocks.
Right. So, I mean, there's not much that I didn't like about him. I mean, his health, I guess. He's coming off an injury, but
Yep.
Maybe all right. So the one thing I did see is in some of his tackling, he tackles too high in the body, so he can be slipped off a little bit. But I mean, honestly, that's about it. Poor blitz timing. That was it. Poor blitz timing. But I mean, that's literally something that can be working. He does like he's that nickel backer you want. Like he's that guy. He can cover tight ends, come downhill.
Yep.
He's a physical beast.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I kind of see him probably second or third round pick, but yeah, it's definitely. I don't see him making like too many plays. I think he's going to be one of those. He'll probably be one of those tackle dependent guys. So he'll probably a pretty good spot in leagues that are tackle heavy, balanced. So because I think that's where he's going to get most of his. Where he'll make most of his IDP money is with tackles.
What I'm intrigued by is that these tight ends are being used a lot more these days.
Yep.
In offenses, so you get some of these long safeties or even some of the bigger corners that can match up against tight ends, and you get some of those pass deflections. You get those tackle numbers, and it's like now you're not only getting those box numbers on the running backs, but you're also in dropping coverage on tight ends who are being targeted 6-7 times a game.
Yeah, and definitely. So if he's going to be kind of there covering, tight ends or speedy backs or slot receivers, I think he'll definitely chew up some space. Definitely plays with balance. So he's not a guy that I've seen that is like going to play out of control. So, you got those heat-seeking missiles that just throw their body around. Yeah, he's not going to throw his body around, and he's going to be like he's going to just be more on target. So he'll be that precise missile.
Yep.
And get to where he needs to go.
Oh yeah, he'll hit his destination and he won't miss. He won't miss.
Yep.
So if you had, I don't think I had you prepared for any of this, but if you had a perfect landing spot for any of these guys, what would you go with? Let's start with Morik. Where would you?
Oh boy,
land? I know it's tough.
Let's see. I guess with what Atlanta has done with their safeties, I'd like to see him somehow in Atlanta. I think that would be ideal, just because they're right now. Nobody. I mean, nobody. They got Jalen Watkins. I mean, Neal's gone. I think Kazie's gone.
Yeah.
So if somehow he was able to land in Atlanta, I think I would not mind him in Atlanta.
Yeah, I like that. I'd like to see him in Green Bay. So it sounds like they just drafted Darnell Savage. It seems like a little repetitive, but Savage, I feel, is strictly almost like a slot corner. I feel like he needs to play more towards the line of scrimmage and play the slot, because when he was in coverage as a safety, he was just giving up chunk yardage. So the back end of that defensive backfield was just terrible for Green Bay. And that's where they lost last year. Yeah. So I think if you grab somebody like Morik, he'd fit in perfectly for them. Maybe be a playmaker.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. Although, did Savage play? Did he kind of play all around last year? I thought he did. Okay.
He did, but I just don't. I mean, who were they playing other than that? It was Will Redmond, Raven Green. Like they need some help in the back end of that secondary.
Yep.
What about Trayvon Holland?
Let's see. Trying to think of teams who might need a safety.
I'll give you mine.
Go ahead.
Raiders.
No, I can't. See, I can't have you do that because Abram is my DB1, so I can't have you.
So I think he compliments
I can't.
Abram well. I think he compliments Abram well because that'll allow Abram to play more up towards the line like you want.
Yeah. No, I'm just playing.
I just figured they need to get somebody outside of Eric Harris.
Yeah. That's definitely not a good thing.
No. So I think Holland, him and Abram next to each other would be like a dynamic duo.
Yeah, that would certainly be, for sure.
It'd be great for the Raiders, bad for IDP.
Yeah, that'd be bad for me. And it's all about me here. No. Yeah, I think with who I would say maybe Kansas City. I know they got Matthew. Maybe Jacksonville. Maybe Jacksonville. I know Jacksonville could use some deep. They could use some help along that. Mm-hmm. I mean, their safety play, their safeties are not ideal. So I'd say maybe even KC or maybe Jacksonville.
I'd like to see Jacksonville definitely. Paris Ford. I actually like Paris Ford to the 49ers. I just kind of feel like he fills that Jaquiski Tart role quite well. So I'm going to stick with that.
Ford. Let's see.
I originally had some of these guys to the Cowboys, but they just signed Keanu Neal, which you were the one that actually brought that to my attention earlier.
Yeah, Neal will probably play. I have a feeling he's probably going to be playing a lot of up front. Probably,
Mm-hmm.
He'll probably be doing a lot of up front. I've heard, he's playing that kind of that weak side.
Nice.
So
Neal fans.
So it's another year I'm going all in on Keanu Neal. So I don't care. I'm doing it again.
Hey, he was fully healthy last year, so
if he keeps it, and if he keeps his safety DB eligibility this year,
mm-hmm.
that's even better.
Oh, that's fantastic. I barely own him anywhere.
Let's see. So where would he fit? Maybe the Lions.
Yeah.
Outside of Tracy Walker,
which I hope they give Tracy Walker another shot this year. I don't know.
I do too, but then because I know the Steelers signed Miles Killebrew, who hasn't just done anything. I see some people pretty happy. I'm like, he hasn't done. He hasn't done anything. I'm like, all right, whatever, it works for me. I don't care.
See you later.
But maybe the Lions. I think the Rams are pretty set at safety. I think with the Rapp and Fuller.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe the Lions. I think probably the Lions. I think kind of for whatever reason sticks out to me. Maybe the Vikings.
Yeah, I think
because they lost Harris and Harrison Smith is getting up there in age.
But he's still a baller. I love that guy.
Oh yeah,
He was the first safety I picked in my first IDP league 8 years ago. And I think I've had him on my team ever since. Every year. It was a redraft league, that first league, and I pick him every year. I jump on him every year. It's just he won me that league. Well, I can't say that. He helped me out a lot in that league.
And he's a good stat stuffer. I mean, you could pretty much count on him here. Weekly, he's tough, but at the end of the year, you see him. He's he was a top 15 guy.
Right.
You always see him finishing with 90, 95 tackles, 3-4 interceptions, 8 to 10 defended passes, some fumble recoveries, and he's just always seems to be there.
Right. So yeah, I think that Vikings would be a good spot for him. Diablo, I'm going Houston. Because they have Justin Reed who can man the back end, and Diablo can play more of that money backer role with a pretty weak linebacker core right now. Outside of Zach Cunningham.
Yeah, that would be a good spot. I don't know. I guess maybe the Rams, because now you touched on it. let's talk about a team with a weak linebacker core.
Yeah.
My God, I mean, do they even have anybody right now? I mean, they've got Troy Reader. I don't know if Micah
Reader,
Kaiser is Micah Kaiser. Let's see.
Yeah, that's it.
I think that's it. I'd hate to see him on Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they would waste him in Pittsburgh.
But yeah, I think Houston is a good spot, and I think I don't think he'll hurt too many people if he goes to the Rams. But I know everybody with Taylor Rapp is probably just like, Mike, no, please, we need Rapp to finally do something now that Johnson's gone. Let me enjoy Taylor Rapp season,
right? Which I think he will be all right, but
yeah, I don't know what happened last year. He
fell out with the coaching staff.
Yeah.
And I mean, he better play well this year because Burgess will go in and take his job too.
Real quick.
So,
real quick.
All right, and now to our man, Hamsah. Where would you like to see him? I got to think about this for a hot second because I just sprung this on myself too.
Well, I don't see him. I mean, I think with what Cleveland has done, I don't see him in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't honestly. I wouldn't be upset if he landed in San Francisco.
No, I wouldn't be upset either. I'd be actually incredibly happy. But yeah, I think that'd be a good landing spot too. But what about Miami? They have Eric Rowe right now.
Eric Rowe.
And Bobby McCain.
Jones, don't they have Brandon Jones too? But he was like a 5th or 6th round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And Hamsah would go in instantly and win that job for Brandon Jones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I think that would be a good spot IDP-wise for him, especially because they don't have a super strong linebacker group either. I mean, McKinney going over there was a nice addition. Baker, I think it's time to fade Baker, especially with McKinney going over.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What teams offhand do you know run maybe like a cover? I don't know, like a cover 3 or a cover 1. Because I think he can do. I think he's going to be that off. I think he can do mostly that off ball nickel. No, but I think Miami would probably be a good spot. I think I could see Brian Flores using him pretty effectively.
I mean, even if he landed in like New Orleans to take over when Malcolm Jenkins disappears.
Yeah.
Play that role because Malcolm Jenkins, I feel like that's actually a very good comparison. Malcolm Jenkins, this point in his career, to what Hamsah could come in and do.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, definitely good spots.
Yeah. Sick. All right. So, what do you have? Do you have any good plans coming forward? Any idea of going to the Expo?
I will actually be at the Hall of Fame because I do a fantasy draft with the Kings Classic. So there's this Kings Classic League that's been going on for a few years, and we actually draft at the Hall of Fame that Saturday.
No shit.
So and then we usually will hang out at there's a BW3 like right down the street.
Yeah.
Like right down the kind of the highway. So we all end up there. So I'm going to try to get down also Sunday. I mean, it's 30 minutes away. It's like a 35-minute drive right down the street, but I'll be at the Hall of Fame doing a draft, and I'll be hanging out wherever we decide to go, maybe B-dubs and maybe somewhere else. But yeah, I will definitely be in the vicinity, definitely on that Saturday.
I'm toying with the idea still. I mean, I have the 1-year-old, so like still have a tough time leaving her. I was just like, man, it kills me. But everybody tells me they're going, and Nate went and he got himself a VIP booth.
Yep.
Gosh.
I think you're still at the point where it's like, hey, hon, can I go to Cleveland? And she'd be like, what? And leave me alone?
She told me to go.
Oh,
yeah, I brought it up to her.
That's a setup. So, Jeff, how long you been married?
5 years.
Yeah, you're still in the. Okay, so
I've known her for like I knew her for like 14 years before we even started.
Okay.
Dating. We were
All
friends.
right.
We've known each
Okay.
other for a long time.
All right. I think you might be, if she's, then if she says you're safe, then I think you might be. I think you're okay.
I said, honey, if I go, why don't you just come with me? She's like, and go hang out with a bunch of your fantasy football buddies? I was like, yeah, I guess it doesn't really make sense.
But be prepared. It may not be instant, but when you get home, going forward over the next several months, just be prepared. Hey, Joey, I'm going to do, peace out. I'll see it. I'll see, I'm gone for the day or gone for the weekend.
Yeah.
So expect some sort of a payback, but
that's quite all right. I'm still playing with the idea. I'm not sure if I'm going yet, but I'm thinking about it, especially with Nate getting the booth and stuff. So it'll be kind of cool to give IDP another voice over there.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to meet a bunch of people too. Yeah. So I mean, I met
heard, a couple of the guys were talking about having a 7v7 flag football game, just analysts.
I will not be participating in that because I just shoot some hoops outside in front, and my knees are killing me just after just shooting a few hoops.
Man, I ran just in the backyard with my daughter. I just had her in my arms. I ran, and I'm maybe like 30 feet, and I was like,
yeah.
I was like, gosh, man.
Yeah.
I am so out of shape.
Yeah. No, that's not good. Yeah, that's not gonna fly. But yeah, let's say I met Clay is there, Mike Clay's there. Finally met Jeff Radcliffe not last year, but the year before.
Nice.
The one dude from CBS, not Heath, Dave Richards.
Yeah.
Dave Richards. Gary Davenport is there. Gary's there. But yeah, you just meet a bunch of people. It's real cool. Brad Evans, Andy Behrens.
Really?
All good people. Yeah.
This is going to be a tough decision. This is going to be tough.
It's worth it. It'll be worth it'll be worth any type of pushback and any type of cold shoulder you might receive when you get home.
Yep, that's all right. Cool. Well, Mike, I want to thank you for joining me as always. We'll have to get together maybe post draft and talk some more about this and see how everybody ended up.
Definitely, I am definitely down with that. We'll see. We can see how our landing spots predictions ended up and see kind of what maybe foresee. Get out our crystal ball. Mine is still in the shop, so I don't know. My crystal ball has been in the shop for the last 5-6 years, so hopefully I'll finally get it out. Yeah. So we'll see how things project. But yeah, thanks for reaching out. Thanks for having me on, and I appreciate it. Yeah, always down to talk anything defensive. Always willing to talk.
Yes, sir. You got anything you want to plug or?
Just follow me on Twitter at Mike Woellert, Mike_Woellert, and everything again for 2021 IDP wise will be at 4for4.com. But yeah, right now we're plugging away with some dynasty stuff. I know if you are into any type of prop betting for basketball, we've started doing some prop bets for basketball. There's a tool there, but yeah, I'll be doing all my IDP content will still be at 4for4 for 2021. So kind of hopefully we'll be releasing some stuff soon. Just kind of putting together some of the breakouts, starting to first go around to rankings. Will probably be up after the draft, just so, I mean, I can rank them now, but I'll be doing it again. So, but yeah, I'll be at 4for4 again for 2021.
Nice. All right. Smooth jazz, everybody.